This is Channel 2 News at noon.
And good afternoon to you. We begin today with snow and freezing rain falling on our area. The snow came down hard in many areas north and west of the city mostly. The Sprain Parkway and other roads were slow going, with state police reporting abandoned vehicles and minor accidents along the Merritt Parkway in Connecticut and the Hutchinson and Cross County Parkways in New York. Portions of northern and western New Jersey were transformed into a winter wonderland as well this morning. The snow making for great playtime, unless, that is, you had to go to work in it. It is still snowing in many parts of the area, while in the city it's simply rain, but it could all turn to ice before it's over. We have more now from Dr. Frank Field in the Weather Center. Frank?
Well, Brian, the winter weather advisory remains in effect. That simply means we're not expecting any kind of snow in any amounts, but we are expecting slippery conditions. That's what is occurring to the north and to the west of the city. Let's look at the map, and the difference in temperature tells it all. Folks out over Long Island have no idea that it snowed. All they've gotten, millions of folks out there, are rain. That's all it's been, with temperatures above the freezing mark. But once you get west of the New Jersey Turnpike and to the north and through Westchester, Rockland, and Orange and Putnam, it's been everything. Freezing rain, sleet, light snow. And that has caused slippery road conditions where temperatures remain below freezing. We expect the warming up to continue, and that'll improve things. I'll have more details when I join you in the studio.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. See you in a few minutes. A Jets player is showing some great signs of courage off the playing field this noon. You may remember seeing that terrible moment when Dennis Byrd broke his neck and was paralyzed during a game last month. Byrd talked publicly about his injury for the first time today. Channel 2's Reggie Harris has the latest live from Mount Sinai Medical Center. How's he doing, Reggie?
Dana, it's amazing how well he seems to be doing. In the spirit of this young man, he was wheeled in just 6 weeks after his injury, and what we first noticed, and many reporters noticed it, I was sitting right in front of him, he was tapping his right foot. He was a bit nervous, and it was voluntary movement, and of course we asked about that immediately. It was an emotional time for him and for his wife, Angela. They sat there for a long while and grasped hands and smiled at each other and sort of caught their breath. He'll be here approximately 2 more months, and when he leaves, he'll be self-sufficient in his own care. He'll be able to care for himself as he goes back to his hometown of Tulsa. Now, he does have some movement, lots of movement in the right leg, some movement in the left leg, and he hopes to one day walk again.
My goals are to be able to walk again, to be able to hold my children, to be able to function the way I used to function. Very sentimental things, you know, just being able to take a walk and those kind of things. And football would have to pale in comparison to the victories that I had in football. You'd have to understand that.
We just appreciate everything, and we're going to make it through this. Dennis is going to walk someday. I believe that. I don't know if they can say that medically, but I know that Dennis is going to walk someday.
Now, you've seen it before, and again, 6 weeks ago, Dennis Byrd running into his teammate Scott Mercereau, hitting Mercereau in the chest. It broke the 5th cervical vertebrae in Byrd's neck, but now 6 weeks later, he is showing so much improvement, and he credits all of this to his faith in God. He says this has been the darkest time of his life, but that through it all, his faith has kept him strong. And he particularly talked about Job and the story from the Bible when so many plagues were visited upon Job's home, but his faith was strong, and in the end, all his fortunes were returned, and that is what Dennis Byrd believes will happen for him. I'm Reggie Harris at Mount Sinai Hospital. Now back to Dennis and to Brian and Dana.
That's okay. We'll take it. We're also happy to see him, let alone see him doing so well.
Reggie, I remember hearing some of the players would go visit him, and the players would say they got strength from him.
Yeah.
Yes, and he said that he said, it's a shame you got to wait until something happens to find out the friends you have. But 2 of them were there today, and Mercereau and Marvin Washington, and they didn't say anything. They let this be Dennis Byrd's day, and later on today on Channel 2 News, you're going to see a lot of this. We're just going to let him talk as much as we can.
There's a lot of fans, too. Thanks, Reggie.
Look forward to it, Reggie. Thank you. Turning now to news from overseas today, Iraq seems to be pushing for a new showdown with the United Nations. More than 100 unarmed Iraqis made a third raid into Kuwait today, defying yesterday's UN condemnation of both strikes. Channel 2's Chris Borgen is at the UN now with the latest on this. Chris?
Brian, the members of the Security Council presently are meeting behind closed doors in room number 7, which is a small room, a clerical room, just off of the Security Council chambers, there to review that report that some 150 Iraqis in civilian clothes, apparently unarmed, once again has crossed the border into Kuwait and once again taking out material, and this in the face of the United Nations Security Council's, well, condemnation and warning.
Enforcement has set out.
Last night, the Security Council warned Iraq in no uncertain terms that Iraq faces serious consequences if it does not comply with the UN ceasefire resolution and return the 4 Silkworm ground-to-ground missiles and other military equipment seized by an Iraqi workforce which crossed into Kuwaiti territory, and remove that material from the former Iraqi naval base at Qasar.
The Council condemns the action taken by Iraq on January 10, 1993 to remove equipment by force from the Kuwait side of the demilitarized zone. This action is a direct challenge to the authority of UNICOM and amounts to clear-cut defiance by Iraq.
And just hours after the UN voted its condemnation, came word that Iraq, for the 3rd day in a row, had made another raid into Kuwaiti territory at Qasar. And they had set about removing even more equipment from that naval base. Iraq says it is not defying the UN, it is all just a misunderstanding, insisting it is only removing civilian equipment which belongs to Iraq as authorized by the UN. Not so, says the Security Council, demanding the equipment be returned or else, but no indication as to what that or else might mean. Earlier yesterday, there was concerted activity at the White House. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of State, and the Vice President, huddling behind closed doors, apparently discussing possible military options, possible airstrikes.
I can't really speculate on that. These kinds of things are, of course, decided based on a lot of considerations.
Well, last night, what the United Nations Security Council did was to put the ball back in Saddam Hussein's court and say, hey, Saddam, it's up to you. And this morning, Saddam Hussein has batted the ball back and said, it's up to you. Whatever it is, the United Nations Security Council will have to meet again today, sometimes later this afternoon, and decide what action, if any, it will take as of this moment. Live from the United Nations, I'm Chris Borgen, back to you in the studio.
Okay, Chris. New Jersey Governor Jim Florio delivers his 3rd State of the State address this afternoon. He's expected to pitch job creation programs and a major public works plan. The governor has pledged to keep New Jersey transit fares from rising and says he'll push for health care reforms. We'll have more on Governor Florio's address beginning at 5 on Channel 2 News. New York City and municipal unions have a tentative deal on a new contract. The agreement reached yesterday increases wages and benefits by 8.25%. The 3-year deal covers some 200,000 workers in 19 unions. The contract has to be submitted to the union membership for ratification. Brian?
You've heard of the eye in the sky. This is a little lower. Roadside cameras will soon help steer you through some traffic tie-ups, we're told. New York City is installing cameras to scan traffic at the Triborough Bridge and 7 other usually congested roadways. The cameras will relay pictures of delays back to a central office, which will then alert drivers with computerized road signs or radio messages. The system begins operation later this year.
Woody Allen and Mia Farrow get ready for another bitter round in court.
Also ahead today, a Long Island Assemblywoman claims some of her colleagues at the state capitol had sex and not politics on their minds.
I think Russian women are all a bunch of babushkas. Take a Nick Nolte.
Woody Allen is fighting for the right to see his kids. His child custody battle with ex-lover Mia Farrow is back in court this afternoon. Channel 2's John Slattery is in downtown Manhattan with the details. John?
Dana, it's been months since Woody Allen and Mia Farrow were face-to-face in court, but it is expected to happen here again later this afternoon. It's one more step in Woody Allen's attempt to gain custody of 2 of the children that the 2 adopted and their biological son. The battle began last August when the 58-year-old director sued for custody of the 3 children. Mia Farrow fought it based in part on Allen's emerging love affair with one of Farrow's adopted children, Suni Previn, and based on Farrow's allegations that Allen molested their adopted daughter, Dylan, who is now 7. Allen says charges of sexual abuse are preposterous and says it all goes counter to what Farrow said about him just 13 months ago when she supported his bid to adopt the children, Moses and Dylan.
If Miss Farrow had any doubts about Mr. Allen as a potential father, she should have said so at the adoption proceeding, and she chose not to. So her kind of rationalizations now that maybe she had some doubts that got unexpressed for some reason in a statement under oath, I think casts doubt on her credibility.
The pretrial hearing will be here at State Supreme Court, Manhattan. Allen will ask for temporary visitation rights with the three children, Moses, Dylan, and Satchel, and both Mia Farrow and Woody Allen are expected to be here this afternoon. That's it. Dana, Brian.
All right, John, thank you for that. A New York State lawmaker says she has been sexually harassed by male colleagues at the state capitol. Long Island Assemblywoman Earlene Hill says the most recent incident happened last month. Amazingly, the same day lawmakers attended a seminar on sexual harassment. Now, this is her allegation. Hill says a male colleague, after the seminar, making a speech, mistakenly said sex instead of the number 6. Then he looked at Hill and said she made him think of sex. Hill won't name the man, and she says who she says harassed her, but she claims she has been verbally abused 3 times since taking office in Albany in 1988. Dana.
A rap group performer is claiming he is the victim of brutality at the hands of police officers in Harlem last night. Channel 2's Carol Iavana has the story.
Performers and producers for the rap groups Houdini and Belle Biv DeVoe say they were brutalized by police in a case of mistaken identity. They say they were returning from shooting a video with Run DMC when they were stopped and surrounded by police officers with their guns drawn, who apparently were chasing robbery suspects. They say the police broke the windows of their Pathfinder and roughed them up, but never arrested them or apologized.
They pulled me out and throw me to the floor, and I'm laying on the floor, and all of a sudden, there's one gung-ho cop.
Kicked him in his head.
And he walked over to me while I'm on the floor and just said, "Wham!" and kicked me, excuse me, right in my face. And this is the result of it. I think this is the boot print and the laceration I sustained when my head hit the concrete from the impact.
The thing that I'm concerned with is the excessive use of force and the fact that, you know, people could almost got shot. I got punched in the face. When they open the door, you don't just punch me in the face.
The rappers say that they cooperated with the police, but despite that, they were brutalized anyway. And at some point during the evening, they felt that their lives were definitely in danger. The police department is now investigating. More than likely, this will come before the Civilian Complaint Review Board. At the 23rd Precinct, I'm Carol Iavana, Channel 2 News.
Coming up, a Brooklyn mother of 1 becomes a mother of 2 during a subway ride.
Funny how that happens. Plus, Dr. Frank Field and the ABCs of grandparenting. Also, it beats and it pumps how an artificial heart has saved the life of an Arizona woman.
American Hawaii announces the return of Kauai as part of our 4-island Hawaiian cruise. Book now and you could save up to 29%.
Maui.
You can even bring children free.
Oahu.
So call now for our free brochure and discover how to experience each island, including Kauai. American Hawaii Cruises. Don't miss a thing.
You called the cops on your own daughter?
On the next Geraldo, when hurt hits home, love can be tough.
We have lost total control of Heather.
A week beforehand, I had called the police on her.
We holler at each other, we don't talk.
She's growing up and going away, and I don't want her to go.
Can you say I love you to her?
I always love her. She knows it.
Mommy Dearest Syndrome. It's on Geraldo.
Today at 4 on Channel 2.
Why can't something work like my soft cleanser without leaving all this grit?
Can't anything clean soap scum better than this?
Introducing an old friend with a new job. Now there's a Mr. Clean bathroom who cleans to the shine. Disinfectant liquids can leave soap scum, while soft cleansers don't rinse away all their grit. But Mr. Clean bathroom cuts through tough soap scum, leaving nothing but the shine. Full strength or in the bucket, new Mr. Clean bathroom cleans to the shine.
Howdy, folks. Cliff here at IHOP with my latest tune. I wake up in the morning, empty feeling inside. I need me a hearty meal, so I take a short ride. I get a big 2-egg breakfast, and it fills me to the top. And now I'm feeling great thanks to my local IHOP. Sorry, folks, but the song's over. What a great crowd.
The Big 2-Egg Breakfast, only $3.99. That's $3.99 Monday through Friday till 11 a.m. at IHOP now.
A woman in Tucson, Arizona is in critical condition today after doctors implanted an artificial heart, the first such operation in the United States in nearly 2 years. 46-year-old Sharon Loran received the plastic and metal CardioWest pump in a 4-hour operation last night. It's intended to last only until she can get a human heart in a month or two. Loran had been dying of progressive heart failure.
Well, we all know the subway system is not exactly famous for early arrivals, but that's all changed now. Meet the 7-pound, 1-ounce girl born on the number 3 line yesterday morning. The baby surprised mom and subway riders by being 2 weeks early. 21-year-old Vida Botang was actually on the way to her doctor's office when the baby decided, well, let's do it now. A couple of transit cops were quick on the scene and they helped things move along, all to mom's complete disbelief.
I was very scared, you know, because there's nobody around me.
It was determined that the baby was crowning. We could see the top of the baby's head. Not a good move to start move.
So far, the baby has not been named. Both she and mom are doing just fine. Maybe she could name it after one of the officers as a token of her gratitude.
That would be nice, all her new uncles. If a token, oh, a token, I get it. Yeah. If you're a grandparent and find that it's hard to think of things to do with your grandchildren, Dr. Frank Field has some ideas today. He's here now with the ABCs of grandparenting. Frank?
Thank you, Dana. Now, it's been a long time for most grandparents since they've had to deal with little kids. I know that from first-hand experience, so sometimes it's tough to keep them interested. So what we need really are ideas. Now, here is a soft-cover book. It's called More Primetime Activities with Kids. The book is aimed primarily for parents, but of course, grandparents can certainly make use of it, and we hope that you will make use of it. Now, there are some neat projects in this book, and you can have fun and keep your grandchildren busy with things around the house. You want to teach them to play cards? Well, here's a cute idea. You can teach them by holding the cards without dropping them with 2 plastic coffee can lids and a brass paper fastener. Now, for Grandpa who's handy with tools, there's a flower press project that requires a couple of pieces of plywood and stove bolts and a grandchild to help put it all together. And when it comes to feeding your grandchild, how about this? A red apple, some peanut butter, and miniature marshmallows. And you prepare it together, and the children enjoy helping put that healthful snack together. And if the weather's nice outdoors, you may want to think about this toy parachute. It's a plastic garbage bag, 4 pieces of string, a small unbreakable toy. All you do is roll up the chute, throw it up in the air, and there you have fun. Now, there are also science projects, cooking projects, games, and sewing. You'll probably say to yourself, why didn't I think of all these great little ideas before? So for more information on primetime activities with kids, here's a free number that you can call. It's 1-800-328-4648. The book retails for around $12.95, and I hope you got that number down. And I learned a lot. Did you get it?
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. If you missed our top stories, you'll have another chance to hear them coming up.
Also ahead, Frank has the latest on the icy weather we got from Mother Nature and what it's doing to our roads.
Quality time for us is reading wonderful stories together.
For the experience of a lifetime. You on our top stories this Tuesday noon. Jets player Dennis Byrd is courageously fighting back from a paralyzing game injury last month. In his first public appearance today, Byrd said he's hopeful he'll walk again. Doctors say he's making great progress. And Iraq made a 3rd raid into Kuwait today to take missiles and other military equipment. Yesterday, the UN condemned the raids, saying Iraq must return the materials or face serious consequences. Brian?
A lot of wild weather out there this morning, some rain, the people down south and in the city don't know what we're talking about when we talk about the snow.
Had somebody come up and say, what happened to the snow and the sleet you promised?
Yeah.
I said, you live on Long Island. They said, how'd you know? And I said, because they haven't gotten anything there. All they get is rain out there. It's just about everything around the air. If you live north and west of the city, where the temperature is just below freezing or near freezing, it's freezing rain for the most part, light for the most part too. The humidity is way up there, 100%. Winds are fairly light, but they're coming in out of the east. And that means The radar itself shows a spotty. On a lot of the light stuff, we're not going to pick up on the radar because light freezing rain, sleet, and drizzle doesn't show up on radar. This is the heavier stuff that moved through, and much of that was snow. We had snow up to 4 inches encircling the city from Connecticut down through the Hudson Valley and down in through portions of New Jersey. Mahwah, New Jersey, up around 4 inches of snow. And as you get into the city, it's just a pattern of rain. But this mild air continues to push slowly northward. That's a problem. It's very slow in movement. So a winter weather advisory still remains in effect for most of the area north and west of the city. From New York on to the east, temperatures will continue to inch upward, getting up into the 30s from Montauk clear over to the city. Tonight, some chilling down in the northern and western suburbs will produce some more of those slippery conditions, and you'll have to be careful once again driving. But all in all, the rise in temperature tomorrow will take us up to around 40 degrees throughout most of the region, and then it'll be simply rain, and whatever's on the ground will begin to sort of slush away.
Yeah. All right, Frank, thank you. Before we go today, we want to show you what's coming up on Geraldo here on Channel 2 at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Today, mothers and daughters who are at war. Geraldo joins us now with a preview of something that can go for a lifetime if you're not careful.
Sure can. My mom is ruining my life, Dana. That's the lament of our guest today, from daughters confronting their moms with complaints ranging from, "You love my sister more than you love me," to, "I can't forgive you for divorcing Dad, you hate my boyfriend." Well, fasten your seatbelts. It is a rocky ride.
My mom follows me, goes through my personal stuff. She reads, she finds a note.
Is it true that she found condoms in your room when you were just 12 years old?
Yeah, and she took them from me because she thought I stole them from her husband.
I can't understand what would be in a guy's mind at 20 or 21 wanting to have sex with a 15-year-old girl.
But that wasn't it. I wasn't having sex with anyone like that.
My mother catch me and spank me when I go do things wrong. Now, girl, if I were your mother, I would give you something. You wouldn't be behaving the way you're behaving.
Mom can't do that to me.
No, she can. It's just because if you...
She won't do that to me.
She won't do it. That's why you get away with
Me
this.
and my mom aren't even close enough where I really can say she's my mom.
You know, I'm sure you know, with a daughter, a mom has a much tougher row to hoe than a dad does. She's not only a parent, but also a same-sex role model, an advisor, a sometime rival, a confidant, and best friend. And sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Sometimes single parent, too, doing everything.
That, too.
Which can be difficult.
So many books written about this subject. Usually, doesn't it happen that as age increases on both sides, they start coming back together again?
Yeah, they do. They kind of outgrow that old rivalry. But as you'll see today's program, there'll be a lot of sparks in the meantime.
Thanks, Geraldo. You can see more of Geraldo this afternoon at 4 here on Channel 2. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dana Tyler.
I'm Brian Williams. Be careful out there. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.